Marlow is lying to you, but not in the way you think. You see, someone just cracked an entire 3-hour response video and proved that it wasn't actually a response at all. Instead, it was one of the biggest manipulation attempts in Minecraft history. And I'm not even lying when I say that after watching this breakdown, I cannot look at Marlow's video the same way ever again. And dude, when you actually see it laid out piece by piece, you will genuinely be shocked. Because this isn't just about cheating anymore. This is about how you can take 3 hours of footage and make it look like a confession when it's actually just a magic trick. But before I show you guys exactly how Marlow pulled off the biggest lie in Minecraft history, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we are so close to 20k and it will mean the world to me. Also, join my Discord link in the description for the OG role, which will be removed at 100 members. Anyways, this is how Marlow is lying to you. So if you've been following this situation at all, you know that Marlow dropped this massive nearly 3-hour response video addressing all the cheating allegations. The identity stuff, the theft accusations, all of it. And honestly, when most people watched it, they came away feeling like she was just a victim, like they felt bad for it. And not gonna lie, I kind of understood why, because this video is really well made and really emotional. And it hits you in all the right places. Hey yo, not like that bro! But dude, that's exactly the problem, because a creator named Jobify, W name by the way, just went through the whole thing and he wasn't asking is Marlow innocent. He was asking something way more specific and way more important. He was asking, would this video look any different if she were lying? And dude, the answer is no, it wouldn't look different at all. If you don't understand what I just said, let me start with the biggest thing, which is how the video opens, because this is honestly the most genius part of the whole thing and most people completely missed it. So Marlow opens the video with a face reveal, like before she addresses a single allegation, before she shows a single piece of evidence, she reveals her face for the first time ever. And she admits that she's been using an AI voice for years, and she apologizes for it. And dude, not gonna lie, when I first watched that opening, I thought, okay, she's being honest, she's coming clean, she's the kind of person who admits when she's wrong. And that's exactly what she wants you to think, because Jobify points out that this is what he calls credibility borrowing. Like by confessing to things people already suspected, she's sending this invisible message of I'm the kind of person who comes clean, so trust me on everything else. And then, and this is the part that's so crazy, after she does the whole emotional face reveal with a real voice and builds all that connection with you, she switches back to the AI voice for the heavier arguments, because the emotional work is already done. She borrowed the credibility from the human voice and then spent it on the AI voice. And honestly, when Jobify explained that, I had to pause the video because I couldn't believe I hadn't noticed it. And bro, trust me, someone as unemployed and single as me would notice. But dude, it gets even worse, because the second thing Jobify flags is what he calls a massive omission, and honestly this one made me actually kinda mad. So Marlow admits in the video that almost every clip in the montages was replayed over and over for perfection, and that some of her vanilla montages were actually recorded at a lower tick speed. And for those of you who don't know, a lower tick speed makes your aim look unnaturally smooth and makes your timing look robotically consistent. And she frames this as just being an artist, like she viewed montages as a piece of art and was being intentional about how things looked. And not gonna lie, taken on its own, that's kind of a reasonable explanation, but here's the thing that Jobify points out that nobody is talking about. During multiple formal cheating investigations, staff members scanned her computer and analysts went frame by frame through her clips. And Marlow knew exactly why those clips looked so suspicious. She knew the whole time and she said nothing. She let those investigations run without telling anyone the actual explanation. And Jobify asked the questions that she never answers in the video, which is, if you knew your montages were fueling cheating accusations, why did you stay silent? And dude, she never answers it, she just pivots into a bunch of technical stuff about Minecraft's input windows and survivorship bias, which are actually pretty valid points on their own, but they're burying the real question under a pile of detail. So you forget what you were even asking about in the first place. And now, let me tell you about the aximity section, because Jobify calls this the most manipulative part of the entire video, and after he explains it, I completely understand why. So before Marlow addresses a single claim that the team made against her, she presents his entire blacklist, including his dark past that he had already taken accountability for, before addressing any of the actual allegations made by him. And dude, not gonna lie, when I first watched Marlow's video, I remember feeling like, maybe Marlow is right. And that's exactly the trap, because Jobify points out that Marlow is mixing two completely separate questions into one. Question 1. Is Aximity a terrible person? Question 2. Are his allegations false? And those are two totally different questions. Like a terrible person can still have real evidence. As a wise man once said, trust the message, not the messenger. But by the time Marlow is done with the blacklist section, those two questions feel like the exact same question in your brain, and his entire video basically gets swallowed up by a presentation of his past. Like, viewers learn about all of Aximity's alleged offenses, but almost nothing about what he actually alleged against Marlow. And honestly, when you realize that's what happened, it's kind of insane, because she's presenting a response video that doesn't actually respond to anything, aka searching for a response video that doesn't exist. But dude, here's where it gets really crazy, and this is the part I think about the most. So Marlow's defense against the Danger Mario identity accusations is basically that there was this elaborate multi-year impersonation campaign. Someone using the name Danger Mario spoofed her, created fake DMs, stole private information, and has been framing her for years. And she uses Telegram account ID analysis to suggest her account was created after the messages were supposedly sent. And Jobify actually independently investigated this, and what he found is that the account ID does match, but the account belongs to a completely random Russian user who plays 10 games and just grabbed the username after the original account was deleted. So Marlow's team presented this as proof that the messages were made up, when actually it proves nothing at all about who created the original account. And not gonna lie dude, that's such a specific kind of misleading. Like it's showing you something real and telling you it means something it doesn't mean. But the bigger problem Jobify identifies is the structure of the defense itself, because by framing everything as a sophisticated setup, Marlow creates what he calls an unfalsifiable shield. Like any counter evidence you bring can just be reclassified as part of the fabrication. You found a message? That's fabricated. You found a timestamp? That's fabricated. You found that Marlow hired a girl to voice over for him? Also fabricated. And when a defense is set up so that literally nothing can disprove it, that should actually be a red flag and not a reassurance. And honestly, the fact that I didn't immediately notice that when I watched the video is kind of embarrassing. And let me tell you about the harassment section, because this one is subtle and it's really important to understand. So Marlow spent several minutes in the video documenting real abuse she received, like genuinely awful stuff, slurs, sexual harassment, rumors about explicit content, and not gonna lie, that stuff is horrible and nobody deserves it, and condemning it is completely the right thing to do. But Jobify's point is about the placement, because right after those harassment clips, she gets into the contested cheating allegations. And what happens in your brain is that your emotional reaction to the harassment bleeds across to the cheating stuff. Like skepticism starts to feel like it's in the same category as the abuse. Criticism starts to feel mean. And she also raises the point that misogyny drove a lot of the accusations, which is probably true in some cases. But it also adds another layer where any pushback at all starts to feel evil. And dude, that's such a specifically constructed emotional trap, and it works on almost everyone. But dude, the section that Jobify says is the biggest dodge in the entire video is the Hatflaw triggerbot evidence, because Hatflaw had done this analysis that reportedly laid out full proof of Marlow using a triggerbot. Like apparently it was the hardest hitting piece of evidence in the whole situation, and Marlow addresses everything around it. She talks about Hatflaw's credibility, she talks about the context, she responds to stuff nearby it, but the actual triggerbot analysis itself completely absent from her video. She never directly touches it, and Jobify says this is the pattern throughout the whole thing. She's genuinely skilled at going after someone's character, but she consistently avoids the hardest evidence. Like at this point bro, she might as well be my crush with how hot she's dodging these shots. And not gonna lie, when I went back and watched the video knowing that, it's so obvious. Like she'll spend 10 minutes on someone's reputation and 30 seconds on their actual evidence. And also one of the most subtle things Shopify identifies is what he calls support-based immunization. And this one is so clever and it's actually kinda crazy. So Marlow explains this real thing in the video where defenders of her get harassed into deleting supportive comments, leaving only critics visible and making her support look smaller than it actually is. And that's true, that's a real thing that happens, but Shopify points out the double effect. Because by explaining this trap to her audience, she's also protecting her support base at the same time. Like now any defender who pushes back looks like they're doing the right thing by fighting against the harassment, and any skeptic now risks looking like they're part of the problem. Both things are true at the same time. The trap is real, and explaining it is also shielding her from real criticism. And that's honestly kind of raw when you think about it. And to be completely fair, because I think this matters, Shopify does say there are things Marlow gets genuinely right. And Swight himself retracted his accusations of the frame-by-frame damage value analysis. Like those are real valid points and Shopify gives her credit for all of them. His argument isn't that Marlow is definitely lying, it's something more specific than that. So here's where Shopify lands, and dude, this conclusion kind of hit me hard. He ends by listing all the questions Marlow never actually answered. Why did she withhold the low TPS information during active investigation? Why did she never directly engage with Hatflaw's trigger bot analysis? Why does she acknowledge but never actually resolve the conflict of interest of being both tier list owner and top competitor? And most importantly, these actual allegations were never really addressed in the whole 3 hours, only his character gets destroyed. And Shopify's final point is this: he doesn't know if Marlow is lying. That's not his conclusion. His conclusion is that the question isn't is Marlow innocent. The question is, would this video look any different if she weren't? And the gap between this video makes a good case and this video is a completely honest account is way wider than almost anyone noticed while they were watching it. And that's worth sitting with instead of letting a really well produced emotional video just decide it for you. And not gonna lie dude, after watching Shopify's breakdown, I went back and rewatched parts of Marlow's video and it's a completely different experience. But let me know what you think. Do you think Shopify's breakdown changes how you see Marlow's response? Or do you think some of her explanations are still genuinely convincing? And also, is there any response she could make at this point that would actually answer the questions that are still open? Because I genuinely don't know. Drop a like if you want to see more breakdowns like this and subscribe to stay updated, because this situation is far from over. Anyways, goodbye!